Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, I recently made a donation to the Society for the Directionally Challenged. It's a lost cause. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at 20 strong Tanglewoods Red from Chip Theory Games. Tanglewoods Red is the latest iteration by Chip Theory Games of the 20 strong system. This is a solitaire system in which you are battling cards and you are using your dice in the most efficient way possible. Now, Tanglewoods Red is like the other games in the 20 strong series in the core rules. You have a hero. You pick one of the hero cards, and the hero has essentially three stats. You have got the health stat, you have got the strategy stat, and you've got the recover stat. Now, these three dice make up a total of 20 dice you'll be using in the game, hence the name 20 Strong. Now, your health obviously is how strong you are, and if you ever get down to zero health, you lose the game. Your strategy is going to let you essentially roll dice a number of times, and more on that later. And your recovery is how many dice you'll get back at the end of a round. But the game plays out, the flow of the game is very simple. You have your the cards set up, and you have the activation step where certain cards will activate. You bring the cards out, and they may have certain abilities attached to them, ongoing abilities. They may bring out other cards if they have the Skull Plus symbol on there. So there's different things that's going to happen when these cards come out. Different things may trigger. But then you go to the engagement. Now, what you do with the engagement phase is you actually go ahead and you determine how many and what kinds of dice you're going to roll, because you have different colored dice. The yellow are the weakest, the red are the strongest. There's kind of a spectrum of strength there. And you're going to determine which dice you're going to roll. You go ahead and you roll the die, and you're trying to get enough hits, regular hits and critical hits, in order to banish some of these enemies, defeat these enemies. So you roll these dice, and then you commit. You can determine which dice are going on which enemy, which enemies you're going to defeat. Now, if you have the more than one showing on your strategy phase dice, you can repeat this step. You can keep doing this as many times as you have the strategy dice is showing. So if you don't kill them on the first chance, you can roll more dice and try to get them then. Now, after you've rolled the dice and you've defeated enemies, if you still have enemies out there, they will hit you for damage. They say how much damage they will do, and you've got to take that number of damage on your character, your hero. But then there may also be kind of after effects that you have to do, and you have to see what events will play out under those circumstances. But then, regardless of whether you defeated these characters or not, you gather them, and they all go to a discard pile. Now, any dice that you used in that phase, they become exhausted and they go into an exhausted pool. But you do have your recover number. On your recover dice, it says how many of those dice you can bring back to your available pool. Now, here in Tanglewoods Red, you are essentially playing out Little Red Riding Hood. And what you have here is you kind of have your character card. You also have the forest deck, and Grandma's card is right there. You also have a merchant that you can go to and purchase items. You have an enemy deck that is enemies on one side, fables on the other, that are right there. And you have the dreaded wolf pack. You're going to go ahead and mix together these wolves, shuffle those, and you're going to place them as well. And the wolf pack, these are kind of the bosses of the game. Now, as I say, you have the forest. What you do is you actually place the forest cards in front of your hero, and you actually use your health dice kind of to move along these tracks. And there's different pathways, and depending on the different pathways, you may encounter more enemies or less enemies. You may find campfires where you can rest and recover, and you may find some other weird and interesting places along the way. Critically, these cards can come during the daytime or the night side. If they come out as the night side, they're probably going to be a little scarier, a little more difficult than if they come out during the day side. But as you travel in the game, you move forward at the beginning of every one of your turns along one of these pathways, and then you're going to get your enemies will activate in those locations if there are enemies there. And you will have opportunities to scout ahead as well. Now, you go ahead and you bring these enemies out. They activate. They're going to, again, tell you how difficult they are to defeat, what the penalties will be for not defeating them. So you'll want to figure out which baddies you'll want to prioritize as you are moving forward. Now, you also have an option here. Most enemies, not the wolf pack, but most of your enemies that you encounter, you can also bribe. Now, you, of course, have the tracker in 20 strong, and that tracker here is used to track the amount of gold you have. Now, you can spend gold to bribe these guys, these enemies, before they actually come out and do anything bad to you. Now, as you're moving along, some of these cards may be flipped to their Fable side. There may be events or special things that go on with their Fable side. And of course, you may also trigger some of the Wolf Pack to come after you. Now, critically, too, as I say, you have a merchant here. And you can go to the merchant, you can buy items, you can buy weapons, things that you believe will help you along your quest to Grandma's house. Now, when you run out of forest cards, you can then move to the Grandma's house location card. You can actually go and visit her, and then you're going to fight the big bad wolf. You've got to keep fighting him until you've defeated him, and if you succeed in defeating the big bad wolf, then you win! 20 strong. Tanglewoods Red. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tanglewoods Red 20 strong. Now, a few years ago when 20 strong first came out, I heard about it. I didn't know too much about it. But, you know, people were loving it, and it sounded like it was a really fun game, and I thought I'd really like to play it one day. And the good people at Chip Theory Games, they reached out to me recently. They asked me if I'd like to review this game, and I thought, yes, I would. I think that sounds like a lot of fun. So they went ahead, they sent it to me. Now, I didn't know it was a solitaire game. I didn't know there were dice and cards, and I knew it came in a little package, a little box. And so I went ahead, and I got this game, and they sent me not just Tanglewoods Red, they sent me 3 of the other games in the series. And I was super excited. I was super excited to play this game. Now, I started with Tanglewoods Red. I'll tell you right now, I wished I'd started with Solar Sentinels, which is one of the other decks. It's a little bit easier to get into. But I went ahead, I started playing Tanglewoods Red, and initially I was a little confused with some of the cards. Some of the Fable symbols and some of the cards were very hard to see. So I got confused about some of the cards early on. It didn't last long. I figured it out. And so I got everything set up, and I started playing this. And immediately, I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. There's a little bit more here than I was expecting. I was expecting this just to be kind of a very simple, easy dice game with a few cards. This game is actually pretty big. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of choices in this game. There are a lot of real moments of strategy. And how do I want to allocate these dice? Do I want to take chances with what I got in front of me, or should I just take the hit because I'm going to need those dice later? There's good choices in this game. This game is filled with good choices. Prioritizing those enemies, scouting ahead, trying to find your way through the forest, which paths you're going to take. There's really a lot of good choices here for a game that's not that physically big, and for a solitaire game that really doesn't play very long. The game, Tanglewoods Reds, I'd say on average I'm about 30 to 40 minutes on Tanglewoods Red. So it's not a very long game, but there's a lot of stuff here. Now, as I said, the good people at Chip Theory Games, they sent me 3 other decks. They sent me the Solar Sentinels, which is a science fiction approach to 20 strong. You've got these kind of evil science fiction robots and stuff that are coming out that you have to defeat using this same dice allocation system. And that one I really liked. And that's probably the entry point. That's probably the simplest way to get into it. Not that any of them are too big or too complicated, but that's probably the simplest one to get into to learn the game is with Solar Sentinels. But then they also sent me the Hoplomachus Victorum deck. Now, I have played Hoplomachus Victorum, the actual game, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It's a great solitaire game where you are gladiators and you're fighting these different kinds of gladiator matches and you're moving around the ancient world or this fantasy world. It's kind of a blending of history and fantasy. And it's really a lot of fun, the main game. So I was excited to play the 20 strong version. And in the 20 strong version, it's a little bit of a different setup. You actually have a pyramid in front of you, Mount Vesuvius. And what you do is you use your tracker to actually move you to the different locations. You always have to move to an adjacent location. But you're trying to defeat the Primarchs. You're wearing down the different card stacks, and you're trying to defeat the Primarchs or the Primuses. And then you actually go, after you defeat all those three, you can go to the Scion, who's kind of the big baddie of the game, and you can choose from several Scions. And you go ahead, you take him out. That's how you win. That one's a lot of fun. And then they also sent me the Too Many Bones deck. Now, I've not played the Too Many Bones board game. I'd love to. It sounds like a great game. So I kind of went into that not really understanding too much of the lore or anything. It's a great kind of steampunk fantasy game. And here it's pretty cool because you got like all these like locks and stuff you're trying to get through. You're defeating the baddies, but you're trying to unlock stuff. Your hero cards have powers that you can unlock if you allocate dice to them. That one was a lot of fun as well. I enjoyed all 4 of these 20 strong dice solitaire games. They were all incredibly fun. I have to say, I think Tanglewoods Red is probably got the most meat to it. I don't want to say it's the most complicated per se, but there's, I think, more going on in Tanglewoods Red than in some of these other games. And I really think, for me, it was my favorite. Now, I like them all, but that one was my favorite. I liked it because, first of all, great artwork. Just tremendous. I love the art. I love the artwork on all of them, but again, in Tanglewoods Red, it was just fantastic art on all of the cards. But I like the idea of physically moving on the track. I mean, you get that too in the Hoplomachus Victorum, but I really like kind of the way you do it with your heart dice in the forest, and the forest cards come out, and they're either night or day. I really got a kick out of that. I thought that was just a fun system. And just overall, I think I had the most fun with Tanglewoods Red. But they're all great. They all bring something new and interesting and unusual to it, different ways to play it. I mean, it's still the fundamental rule set, but it's really fun and interesting how they change it up and how they mix it up and how they make this system dance. They just make it groove into all these different kinds of themes and ideas with some really fun mechanics, great artwork, and gameplay. Now, I got to tell you, I'm playing this to myself, and coming, from a war gamer background. I'm certainly not an exclusive war gamer by any means, but I was thinking, man, I would love to see a version of this like in World War II. Your Patton or Montgomery or Eisenhower or whatnot. D-Day to Berlin, and you're kind of using paths, and you're moving your armies along the paths with the dice, and you get different, German infantry divisions or something come out that you got to defeat. I was thinking, man, alive, I would love to play that. It seems like this game would lend itself so well to like a war game, solitaire game. I think it would be perfect. I'd love to see that. Anyway, Tanglewoods Red, and indeed all of 20 Strong, this is a fantastic game system, and each of the games are a lot of fun. Tanglewoods Red so far being my favorite. But I got to tell you, I absolutely love Tanglewoods Red 20 Strong. On the Cody scale, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. It is a lot of fun. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we'd ask you to please leave a comment for us here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, on Twitter. We'd ask you to like and subscribe to all of these. It's very important that you like and subscribe to this channel. That means a lot to us. And if you like what we do here, please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, military history, books on history. I even post some of my lectures on that channel. Please subscribe to that. It would mean the world to me. And if you do really like what we do on this channel, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. After all that hard work on my autobiography, I can't find anyone to publish it. Story of my life.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight.
I know. It's like walking into a trap. If only we had our own little personal Admiral Akbars to warn us. It's a trap. I know, Admiral. I know.